Stephen Mansfield, New York Times bestselling author and speaker.
Doug Tenaple, I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Tweet Groups.
I'm Victor Dweck.
Joseph Carter, I'm the Mink Man.
This is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire.
This is Leah Morgan. I'm a comedian, and this is why you should never...
Never.
Don't ever...
Not ever.
Don't waste your time.
Oh, you really should.
Listen to those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
What is up? Welcome, everybody, to the first edition of the Rev and the Rep Spoils. We're going to start this week with episode 5 of WandaVision. We've got some people that may be joining us throughout the broadcast, so make sure that you stay tuned. We would love if you guys would like, comment, give this a share as we talk about what happened in this week's episode, which was kind of mind-blowing. But there's a lot to catch up on before we get to that, because we've missed 4 weeks of this. And now we're just stepping into a ton of stuff. If you haven't watched the episode, we will tell you right now that you need to go watch it, because if you don't, you're going to find out that Wanda is controlling absolutely everything, and the Vision's starting to find stuff out. And you should have watched it. The reason it's called We Spoil This.
And Quicksilver is back. Now
yeah, that's true. Yeah, now pause it, go watch it, be disappointed, and come back to us. So...
Look,
wow.
The name of this segment of our show is the Rev and Reprobate Spoils. So right up front, we're going to tell you everything.
We let you know.
Then, yeah, it's in the title. So I'm not going to do the whole thing where you go, okay, spoiler alert. Okay, spoils are coming. Go ahead and pause it if you don't want to hear it. It's in the title. You should have known.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. We're doing something very hip of starting a live stream 5 episodes in.
Yeah, it was very cool of us to do this, and thank you guys so far. Oh, we went from 7 to 4, so that's a bit of a cut, but hey, we're glad that you... Okay, so personal thing, before we get rolling into the WandaVision, I did a quick calculation. 2 weeks ago, we had the lovely, fabulous Leanne Morgan on our live stream, and then and then after that, we had Stephen Mansfield, and now we're down to this. We have lost 99.99997% of all the people that were on the Leanne Morgan live stream. So, Danley, let's talk about...
math is sad. Don't do math.
Yeah, math's so bad. Let's talk about episode 5 of WandaVision. What were you expecting, and what do you think stuck out to you the most in this episode?
Well, I think if we start by describing the show, because there may be some people that are checking it out. We've already ruined it for them. We've already spoiled.
Well,
good.
But
we should still do like a quick summary outline of the show. So if we look at the timeline, Vision, in the title, there's Wanda and Vision. They're the two key characters, Wanda Maximoff and the Vision, if you want to be technical, who, by the way, was my favorite. He was top 3 of my favorite superheroes growing up. There was
the Vision was?
Yeah, there was a Spider-Man, like
such a weird kid.
Yeah, I know. There's like a Where's Waldo version. You have to find Spider-Man and all these this picture book. It's really awesome. But this guy would be half in and out of the ground or walking through a wall, and I was obsessed with this guy. Like, who is this? It's been, but anyway, so the timeline is Vision dies at the end of Endgame.
Right.
Is it Endgame or is it?
Yeah, he dies at the end.
It's Endgame. It's Endgame.
Yeah.
So this picks up days after that. So Vision has died. Thanos removes the mind stone from Vision, which is giving him his powers and keeping him alive.
Yep. The blip has happened.
The blip has happened. 50% of the universe has died in an instant with a finger snap. So the show opens up with Wanda, Scarlet Witch. She's not referred to in the show yet as that moniker, but Wanda and Vision are playing house essentially as a happy couple, dealing with mundane problems like dinner parties, and there's a show that they do in their little town. It's very a pregnancy plot. It's all performed in front of a live studio audience too. So it's got the feel of like how would you describe a sitcom? That's the best way to say it. It looks like a sitcom, right? Like an old sitcom.
Yeah, and it starts out it's going through the decades. So there was a 50s version, there was a 70s version. Now we're in the 80s. This one was shot like it was like in part the Wonder Years, in part Full House. There were some bits and pieces that felt a little bit like I think you said like Family Matters and some of that stuff. It's very like each new episode is going through a different trope of sitcoms of that era. We had color that entered in a few weeks ago, and now we found out why that color happened in the last episode, because it was actually stuff from outside the Hex, which is what Kat Denning is calling the area now, the area that Wanda has set up where this sitcom is happening. And in that area, we were talking in a little bit of the show prep, like the laugh track is happening live.
Yeah.
She's creating a laugh track with her mind in this area, which is totally bizarre. It doesn't make any sense at all, but neither does this.
Yeah, it really feels like she's a woman that loves this man or this android intensely, right? And she's had this person.
Synthoid is the proper term. Since he's your favorite,
sure.
The synthoid.
He has been ripped from her, just like her brother. So she's using all of her power to bring him back and restore some amount of normalcy, even though it feels like it doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel like everything really is fine. It feels like everything is really weird and they're trapped.
Yeah,
which is what they're starting to say. These people there are these background characters walking around the town that are. Again, it feels like a weird old sitcom where they're hi neighbor as they're mowing the lawn, and it's they start snapping in and out of reality through different things that happen, and they're kind of freaking out there for a moment until, as it turns out, Wanda is regaining mind control over them. So it's really interesting how it's progressing.
Agreed. At one point, not to jump too far ahead of the episode, but at one point, Vision puts his hands on the side of the guy's head, and he's like, "She's killing me." Like, I feel like I want to die. So let's start, now that we've kind of set everything up, let's start at the beginning of the episode. It starts off, you see Wanda and Vision. They have a very, like a mix of the Wonder Years and Full House open that starts. They come in. The kids are just whining and crying. They can't get the babies down. They've got two kids that Wanda created in the last, 2 episodes ago, because the last episode was kind of a catch-up on what's happening outside of the Hex, outside of that world. Two babies keep crying. In comes her friend, and then this was the very first part of the episode that lets you know that something is different, and Wanda, maybe she's starting to break, maybe she's experiencing some self-actualization. And what was it that her friend said?
She said, Wanda said something about that they needed a break, and then ding dong, the lady
doorbell
walks
rings.
in.
Yeah.
She walks in and right on cue, if this was a sitcom, that she's there to babysit the kids. So one thing I wondered if it could be some of the reason that Wanda is kind of falling apart is, I think she had said it had been days since they'd slept. 3
days since the babies slept. Yeah, that's what she said.
Which is also how long they've been alive, right?
That's
because they're
correct.
Aging
up.
They're aging up. That's the word she keeps using. So it seems like they've got some power too. And she tries to get them to go to sleep using her magic, and it does not work. So again, that could be that she's losing it, or that they're magical too, or they have, they're mutant. However, we're looking at which Wanda this is, which Scarlet Witch this is.
Right. And so then Agnes walks in, and Vision says to her, "Hey, you know what? We got this. We don't need help. He doesn't want to be a burden." And then she's like, "Well, did she say, like, should I try again? Should I take it from the top? Or should I start over?"
She has a moment where it's a break moment, in TV lingo, where she breaks character, and she says, "Do I take it from the top?" And Vision is clearly taken aback by this and trying to figure out, what the heck is going on. He starts engaging with Wanda. What is this? What's going on? And Wanda says, "Oh, it's fine." I don't remember exactly. She brushes it off as it's fine. She's just trying to be helpful. And then Agnes re-engages, and for the, looks
Neal,
like Boomerang
Rhone
is joining us.
He's joining the room. We'll see Neal here in just a second.
Yeah. But let's see, where was I?
So Wanda is kind of going through the motions. She's hit this wall. She's got all of this stuff going on. They've been experiencing life like a decade at a time. That's been really bizarre. The babies are crying. They've been up for 3 days, and she's got to be just completely like stressed out, almost like she's going crazy from being awake too long.
Yeah. So it's either that or the stress of maintaining the hex, which is a mixture of force field around this whole town, keeping people out and also keeping people in, and maintaining control over, I believe it's 1,000 people. So there's a lot of people, a lot of her power that she's focusing on several things, in addition to cutting the camera angles for the TV show that she's putting on foreseeably for Vision. Yeah, I don't know why else she would be doing that. It's a TV show to keep him...
To keep Vision kind of in the dark on everything.
Yeah, and happy and everything's fine. Again, maybe it's for herself too. Like I mentioned before, that she's had 2 of the most important men in her lives ripped from her, and she's just not having it again.
That's one of the really weird things is, like, everything that's happening in the show seems to be crumbling around her. She is losing it really one person at a time. Like, it starts with Agnes. And, I think it probably started 2 episodes ago whenever they were talking about, the neighbors were talking about she's not like the rest of us, whenever they were talking about Geraldine. That Geraldine's different. She's not like the rest of us. That something is different about Geraldine. And, they were very vague as to why.
Were right.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, something's different about Geraldine. She's from the real world. So, all right, go ahead. No, I was going to say Agnes breaks. And in the midst of Agnes breaking, Vision realizes that something is wrong and asks Wanda straight up. He's like, did you see that? Were you paying attention to that? And Wanda basically just denies it. She's like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. And says it 2 or 3 times until Vision finally has to ask her. He's like, do you really not know what's going on? Or is this just an act? And she continues on pretending like she has no idea what's happening. So on a Saturday, he goes to work, which was very weird.
And everyone was there too. All of his coworkers were there.
Yeah, and the kids also found that to be very strange, because both of the twins ask her, what's going on? Is this, why is Dad at work? It's Friday, and it's Saturday, and they're like, no, it's Friday. She says, no, it's Saturday. That there's no reason Dad should be at work, and then she has to make up something about marital problems that they're having.
Yeah.
And then they get a dog, and this was one of the weirdest parts of the episode to me, was the way that the dog interacted with the family. He shows up in the middle of a bubble bath. That's when we find out that the kids can age. They go from like 3 years old to, so they go from 0 to like 3 years old. Right before Agnes's eyes, when she's supposed to be rocking him.
And then Vision says they can't keep the dog. So Vision arrives home from work after having a realization at work that
with Norm.
Norm. There's a coworker, and he frees him momentarily from the mind control, and he lets him know, I'm trapped. Like, we're all trapped here. I don't want to be here. She's controlling us. So he really tells Vision a lot. Vision gets home to find a dog, and then I don't know if he under the mind control or not, but then he engages in, well, they're too young to have a dog, and they have to be at least 10, and so then they just instantly age up to 10. Very interesting.
It's really bizarre. And then Wanda uses her powers right in front of Agnes to get the dog a collar whenever the dog licks an electrical outlet and starts sending sparks across the kitchen. And then they immediately name the dog Sparky. She uses her powers, and Vision again steps in and is like, hey, what are we doing? We're not supposed to be doing this. We agreed we weren't going to use our powers. But Wanda does it anyway, and she's like, well, she didn't really notice. It's fine. And Vision gets a little...
Yeah, notice. It's fine.
Yeah, Vision gets upset with her. I mean, and understandably so. Vision gets upset with her. They leave the house... And he goes to work. The boys have the dog. He has this interaction with Norm. While he's doing that, the dog gets away, and the boys go looking after the dog. The dog was barking at the front door. Something was at the front door, and the dog takes off, and he ends up getting at, what plant was it that they finally found?
It was azaleas.
Azaleas. So
yeah. So moral of the story is, if you got azaleas in your front yard, go ahead and pull them out.
Yeah, keep him away from the dog. So the dog eats the azaleas, and he's wrapped up in a towel. Agnes brings it to the boys, and then Wanda's having this weird realization of what loss is. Now, right previous to that, like just before that happens, they infiltrate the Hex, the people outside, the members of Sword. So Jim Krasinski.
Let's get into a little bit of history on Sword.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh wait, well, you said Jim. I was thinking it was Neal.
So, yeah.
Hey, Neal, you with us?
Yeah, I just had you muted. Sorry.
Sweet. So talk to us about Sword, because Sword is new to me.
The Sword comic that came out 2 months ago?
Well, that's probably part of it, but what is Sword? Because we were familiar with S.H.I.E.L.D., but we have no idea what Sword is, and they've become a huge part of this show.
of the current show?
Yeah, they're a big part of WandaVision. They are like camped outside of this little area that Vision has been resurrected in, and that Wanda is keeping alive with a few thousand mind prisoners that all seem to be agents of Sword. That it looks like she imprisoned them whenever she went to go retrieve Vision's body.
Okay. Well, I don't think anyone on staff has read Sword #1 because we did sell out.
Oh, nice.
Sword #2 is out. I don't know. I think it stemmed from the Hickman creation, when Hickman redid, his X-Men stuff recently. Okay. But I don't know, actually.
Well, what about just Sword in general? Are you do you have an understanding of what Sword is and what they're because there's S.H.I.E.L.D., right? So Sword is the sister version of that it handles space, right? From what I understand, I've got a basic understanding of it.
Unfortunately, you probably know more than I do. My knowledge on Sword is not good.
Well, were they created just for this show? Like, is this a new direction that Marvel is going, and something that they created specifically for this was Sword, or is it a name that's been used for a while?
I haven't heard of. Sword was a new comic, and to my knowledge, I don't know anything about it, so I assume this is new that Hickman created. So I don't know.
Okay, so I'm doing a little Google research right now. Well, DuckDuckGo research, because I don't use the Google.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about doing it live is we can just go check.
Yeah,
right.
So
let's go check. Yeah, when was Sword founded? Was it
Sword was first introduced into the comics in an X-Men comic back in 2004? So that makes sense that it would be something that maybe Hickman was messing with. They've been in 3. Sword is reformed as Hammer under Norman Osborn at one point. That would be terrifying. But up to date, they're just to the second one, like you were saying. So the first one, you said the first comic that you guys had of Sword sold out really quick. Neal, for those of you who don't know, is the owner, the commander-in-chief of Boomerang Comics here in the Louisville area. So
Boomerang Neal, as we call him.
Boomerang Neal.
Actually, we're still throwing that around.
That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. So Neal's gonna have some cool comics and stuff to show us later in the show. But we've got Wanda. She exits the Hex because they sent in a drone. She disables the drone with her Scarlet Witch magic. All these guys have guns turned on her, and she uses her mind control powers to turn them on the guy who's in charge, who is an absolute jerk. For lack of a better way to... That's the most PC way I can put it. He's a jerk. And he's berated Captain Rambeau and Kat Denning and Jim. Which... Okay, so...
Yeah, you're going to have to explain that.
Can we find something to call him? Because the very first thing
his name is Jimmy. His name is Jimmy Woo in the show. His
name in the show is Randall Park. His actual name is Jimmy Woo.
Oh, okay. Well, my
And
quick
I-
IMDb search earlier, it lied to me.
Just gave you his actual name, but I am only familiar with him because of
Yeah, the Jim prank on Dwight.
Yeah, the Jim prank on
Yeah.
Dwight from The Office. That's what made me, or what got me familiar with Jimmy Woo. But yeah, so that's all I can think is that now this is a giant prank, and Dwight's gonna find out about it. But so she comes out, she has to go back in. It's been like this terrible thing, and then we're catching up to where we are, where the dog's dead.
His name is Jimmy Woo in the show, dude.
No, his name's Randall Park in the show. Yes, his name is Jimmy Woo in the show. Randall Park's the guy's actual name.
Yes. Oh, you got me. That was a good job.
I just love how vehemently, if I could steal Greg's word, you were after that. So now we're essentially caught up. There's a dead puppy, and after the dead puppy, Wanda gives this very impassioned speech about learning how to deal with loss, and
Which is that is an interesting moment.
yeah,
Because two things. She is telling her children how to deal with loss, which she is dealing with right now and not dealing with it very well.
no, she's resurrected her dead love.
She's resurrected. She has imprisoned 1,000 townspeople of Westview.
Right.
I got that right? Okay, good. Also, her twins are aware, they at least seemingly aware, because they tell her, just bring him back.
Yeah, because
Right, you remember
they're
that?
the ones that bring it up. Yeah, just
Yeah,
bring him
yeah,
back.
they said
That's
just-
what you
just
do. You
bring
can
him-
bring
bring
stuff
him
back.
So, and maybe this is a question, for Neal, if you've got some insight into Wanda. From what I understand, in the comic books, Wanda and Vision do have twins, and Mephisto is the villain, and he wants to absorb the twins. Is that correct?
Yeah. So back in Avengers in the 70s, that's when Wanda and Vision met. They were actually both villains. Ultron created Vision, and they both joined the Avengers, and I think over a span of 4 or 5 issues, became involved. And then I think it was later in an annual or something, got married. And then I think it was West Coast of, I don't remember where this was, but one of those time periods, it might have been the second miniseries. So there was a first miniseries in early 80s that dealt with them leaving the Avengers, starting their own life. And then there was the better known one, the 12-issue miniseries that dealt with, their relationship. And I think at the end of that, maybe they had their babies. It wasn't, I think it was, again, I don't remember which comic this was, but they do explain more about the kids. And then I guess eventually in West Coast Avengers, which was a shoot, like a spinoff, they broke up, and I don't know what happened to the kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought of Mephisto. I guess he doesn't successfully absorb them, but I know he wants to.
And Mephisto's the guy who gave Bones on Fire and a Motorcycle on Fire with Chains on Fire from Hell his powers, otherwise known as Ghost Rider. Right, that's where Ghost Rider gets all of his stuff is from. It's from Mephisto's son. Yeah, to deal with Mephisto. So that's the guy that's trying to. Essentially, the devil is trying to absorb Wanda and Vision's kids. But Vision is now dead. He was pulled. I mean, when Wanda goes in and she storms the Sword headquarters, Vision is in pieces on separate tables, like they've completely dissected him. And then she flips out. We saw a glimpse of his sort of dead face in episode 3. Episode 4 was just kind of a recap, and then this one in episode 5, she's pausing the reality. Anytime Vision gets upset, she's rewound it before. Well, this time she pauses the show so that they can fly in the air and yell at each other as he continues to figure things out. And
that was a cool moment.
That was a cool moment.
Them side by side, not side by side, but facing each other.
Yeah.
Flying up, appearing it was about to go down, and then there's a knock on the door.
Yeah, and
where the doorbell rings.
Yeah, and they were pleading. She was pleading with the kids not to try and grow up and mature too fast. And then the big fight happens, and who answers the door, but not the Quicksilver you were looking for.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting.
Which, by the way, Neal, have you seen this episode, or are we ruining this for you too? We're spoiling it for you.
No,
I get to ruin everything for Neal.
It's okay. My customers know I barely have seen the movies. Like I don't keep up with any of the TV shows.
So you've got the comic books, that knowledge, but the actual MCU, not so much.
when it comes to TV and anything else, I know nothing because I've seen nothing.
Cool.
Neal's a purist, which is good for us because he was able to pull, in the 1970s is when they came out with the one where they, which is helpful.
Well, so setting up in the MCU up until this point, we haven't had mutants because that was owned by Fox, right?
Right.
The X-Men, Spider-Man was owned by Sony. I think it still is. I don't think they've.
There's still a Sony property. Yep.
But the X-Men haven't shown up, which is now potentially kind of a cool moment because, like you mentioned, there's a doorbell. Vision thinks that she's trying to get out of their argument again by bringing in somebody to distract them, and it's Quicksilver, but not her brother that died in Age of Ultron. It's Quicksilver from what was that? That was X-Men Origins. Wasn't that one? It was a First Class. That's what it was.
Yeah, and then he was also in Days of Future Past, I think, where they're hopping timelines back and forth. So it's the Quicksilver from X-Men has just entered into the MCU, which is the first crossover that I can recall seeing between the Disney properties that they acquired from Fox and the ones that they've had.
It definitely is. And that brings up another point. Earlier in the episode, they mentioned Jimmy Woo and Darcy are talking. No. Jimmy Woo and they're having a big meeting, and the director Jerkface is there being a jerk, and
that's his official title.
And he says, "So does Wanda have any aliases?" And Jimmy says, "No." He says, "None. No aliases." And he says, "Not a one." Which was interesting because she clearly has an alias, right? We all know her as Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, just not yet. She just doesn't have an alias yet.
So with Quicksilver showing up, is this the entrance of mutants where maybe her alter ego is going to show up too from another dimension that has mutants, and she's Scarlet Witch versus Wanda? Is that something that we could see in the future?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of...
I'm just purely speculating.
I mean, if you go and you look on the deep subreddits that are about this stuff, there's all kinds of speculation about what the crossover and things are going to look like. As far as I know, and Neal, you can help us on this with the comic book knowledge, there's not an Avengers X-Men crossover where she is one of the main characters. Like, I know that there's several where, like, Wolverine goes and he works with the Avengers and things like that, but I can't recall one where she's working sort of dually aligned.
Well, she's the daughter of Magneto.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, she's in both universes, but I don't recall them meshing those two together with her. Is that correct, or can you think of something like that, Neal?
I don't. I think you're correct, yeah.
So, this would be a totally new storyline that Disney's going with if they're using her as the crossover from the Avengers to the X-Men. unless her
Well-
little portal is tearing a hole in the X-Men universe and bringing them all in. In which case, I want to see Deadpool and Agnes date.
Yeah, yeah, or Dopinder.
Yeah. Give him a crisp high five.
Yeah.
So, all right, final thoughts on the episode, Danley, and then I want to get to some of the stuff that Neal's got before we wrap up, because we're hitting right at the half-hour mark. Where do you think this goes from here? What's your 60-second predictions for next week?
Let's see. Next week, I mean, I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of Quicksilver, right? Her new brother, as he walks in, he sees Vision. He says, "Who's the popsicle?" And it and it ends on that with Vision's red head and everything. So I'm assuming that we're going to pick up right there, right, with Vision saying, who is this guy? Because he doesn't have any memory before 3 days ago when he came alive. It seems he knows who he is, but not what happened to him and all that.
Right.
So I'm assuming we're going to see Quicksilver, and then Wanda pulling him aside and going, "Okay, who are you? What's going on?" Because she recognized him immediately. She said, "Pietro." So I'm assuming that she did that through the telepathy,
Right.
realizing he is him, but he clearly doesn't look like him. He seems like a different person. So I expect to see some answers to that. Are there other X-Men? Are we going to start seeing, hopefully, Mephisto? Ultimately, I want to see him. But just because I still think he's behind it somehow. We're setting the stage for the twins and some weird stuff going on, and it would be cool. But if Wanda's controlling it all and she's in complete control, then she's in for probably a rough ride.
Yeah, my prediction is that she has an emotional break, and that
Yeah.
the world starts to crumble around her. That when she's talking to the kids, when she sees Petrov, and right now it's showing that he's only in one episode because they're not giving away how many episodes anybody's in except for the two or three main characters, which are in for the series. But we're on episode 5. We've got 4 left before Wanda completely breaks down and either ruins the world or decides to join S.H.I.E.L.D. I gotta say I was happy that it wasn't Captain Marvel behind the door, because they alluded to the fact that it might be, and the people I was watching it with, because they'd said Captain Marvel like 2 or 3 times, they're like, "Oh my gosh, maybe Captain Marvel entered." I was like, "Please no, please no."
No,
Petrov was a
not
much better twist.
Anybody but Brie Larson, please.
So at the end of the episode, we're left with a cliffhanger, and you guys, as well as we, will have to tune in next week. But for the end of our time together, we asked Neal if he might bring some cool stuff from Boomerang to show our audience and see some of the wares that you've got that might be a little different and unique. So what have you got for us tonight, man?
Well, it's not exactly comic book related.
Is it so cool?
Not all of it, at least. Let me.
Well,
let's
let's just skip all the stuff that's not cool.
I think all of it's cool, but not all of it's comic book related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
One
You
thing
misunderstood.
that might be interesting to people that watch the show that don't read comics is a lot of these are starting to be a lot of the Scarlet Witch and Vision titles are starting to be reprinted. The older stuff.
Okay.
Like the 12-issue miniseries. I think the 4-issue and 12-issue miniseries from the 80s are now in one volume. That would be really interesting if you do like the show. House of M, which, Lucas, you wanted to know if there was any crossover between X-Men and Avengers.
Right.
That would be the closest thing. And she's
in both of those.
Yeah. And it's a great story.
I got into that in the Secret Wars from a few years ago. The House of M comics from the Secret Wars from a few years ago were just great.
Yeah, and the reason I was late is we had some issues with our point of sale system, so I have it up here, and I was looking to make sure.
There's a reason they call it a POS, Neal.
Yeah.
I always found that hysterical. You know,
What's
even I always found that hysterical. Even at work now, they go, "Oh, we got to get a POS." I'm like, "Why?"
Well, there was a sword, and now now I kind of remember, but it was I think a 5-issue miniseries back around 2005, 2004, somewhere in there, and it dealt with Norman Osborn trying to take over a peaceful alien civilization, and Sword, the offshoot of Shield, came in, and it didn't sell real well. I don't think many people knew about it and was like, why are you bringing this in? But I think it's probably more relevant with it being in the the TV show.
Yeah.
However, some of the cool things, I don't know if you guys know how hot collectible card games are right now. In particular, Pokemon.
Yeah.
It is insane. So
like Magic and Pokemon and
Magic's
Yu-Gi-Oh.
still Magic,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
but Pokemon has blown up. Like, you have people paying people at Target and Walmart that stock this stuff to give them a call before anyone gets there. Like,
wow,
there's 10 to 20 people a day that are roaming the aisles of Target looking for Pokemon product. That's how hot this is.
Well, and now is there a certain series that they're looking for? Because I remember when I was doing like Destiny and things like that, the Star Wars card games, there were certain series. They're just looking for any Pokemon cards.
It's really anything, because the demand is far greater than the supply right now, and really they're only getting in the past year's product anyway, from time to time, and then they're looking for the new stuff that hasn't been released that's, I think, just about to hit.
Okay.
But it's just super insane. As soon as we get anything, it's out the door. And I brought a couple little things. If you are into Pokemon, and I think what happened is during the shutdown, people were inside. Sports cards blew up because, hey, I used to collect sports cards. I have some money. I can't go to the store to buy anything, so let's.
Oh yeah.
Mine was plants. I went to Home Depot to buy plants.
You're so messed up.
Yeah,
plants.
But yeah, yeah. I just started planting. I started planting stuff. But yeah, let's see them.
All right, so this right here, I don't know if you can see it at all. But
Charizard. Is that a shiny Charizard?
yeah, so this is
and it's in Japanese.
This is a Japanese version, actually. We got in some collections of certain things, and here is here's a regular.
That is awesome
one. But a lot of these are, they're $200 to $400 cards now that were a $2 pack back in the 90s. So we have a lot of these that we're starting to sell.
Blastoise.
Yeah, Blastoise.
Blastoise.
So right now,
I'm gonna do
Pikachu
that.
is always a favorite, but
Sure.
Charizards are the ones that are just
Charizard's the best.
blowing up right now. Yeah.
Hey, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, it depends if you're talking about on the cartoon or if you're playing. I have this guy right here who I love to play with. He is he's fully evolved version, but he's basically a badger, like a
He's a badger that's on fire.
Same class as Pikachu, where he has flame bursts and electric attacks. I really like him. I really like what's the I can't think of it. Maybe I have a card here. Yeah, so any of the
give me any Pokemon and I'll do their voice.
the evolved
Please
version of Eevees. I really like. I don't have anything here, but those are mine, and I have here. So, Lucas, I brought these because I know
Oh, good.
fan you are.
Danley, what kind of comics do you think these are?
Or
Most likely.
Avengers.
Yep.
Hey! While you're getting those out, I have a question about Pokemon packs, or just packs in general.
Okay.
I'm not done with Pokemon. I saw a TikTok where they opened up a pack, and it was a God pack, is what they called it. Is that a term that you're aware of?
I don't know the term God pack, so that might be
I felt like they made it up, but
TikTok type of reference, or
but basically it was a pack that every card in it was like a top-notch, legendary, shiny card.
Yeah, that's probably just
they lied.
Term they use that an old man doesn't know about. So
I wanted to throw it and see if it stuck. Again, they could have just made it up and made a TikTok, or look at this, I got
I started tuning out
$1,000
as soon as you said TikTok. I just got tired head.
Yeah. All right, so here are the two that I really wanted to highlight. But another thing that's just blown up, like completely blown up in the past year, is Star Wars. So,
Okay.
And it's
Why?
because of The Mandalorian, I believe, which is, I'm probably the only, I know I'm the only comic store owner in the world that has not seen The Mandalorian.
You haven't seen any of it.
Come on.
I don't have
Neal.
Disney Plus, so I don't have any of these stations. So I know
I
that's
can-
probably hard for your listeners to,
I can give you my stuff. I'll give you my login.
but I just don't have the time
Okay, yeah, that I can understand.
to dedicate to that. We just don't watch a lot of TV.
Do you want us to ruin it for you,
I hear it all
or
the time.
spoil it? I gotta spoil it.
Because I don't even know when I'll get to watch it. However, I do have something. I do know comics, so this
Ooh.
that is Star Wars number 68. I don't know if you can see it. It is a really nice copy. A lot of these older books that have yellow or white really have a hard time staying in good condition. You know, they get dirty. The spine creases really show. This one's a really nice copy. Someone took a
over time does yellow
appearance of the Mandalorian?
over time does
Really?
yellow turn white?
No, it just gets dirty. I mean,
Okay.
it fades as well, but this is a pretty deep yellow, and
That's beautiful.
yeah, it's not dirty at all. Now, there are ways of cleaning books with special erasers and very delicate techniques that won't, what they call, damage a book to where they're going to say, hey, it's been restored. This one I don't think has been cleaned much, if at any. It's just a really nice copy. Now you can see some, this is common that you'll see some ink, when the printer did its run, back then the printers probably weren't near as, good as they are today.
So what's something like that go for? Because that's a pretty collectible item.
Yeah. So let's take a look. eBay. Now, ungraded is going to be different than graded, but Star Wars 68 is, let's look at confirmed sales real quick. So raw, this book will sell anywhere from $200 to $350.
Good grief.
A graded book is higher than that. And this is a good shape book.
Yeah, I'm looking at one that's graded as a 9.0 right now. That's $450 for that book.
Yeah.
There's one that's a
and
9.6 that's going for $1,000.
Yeah, 9.6 for that age of a book would be really tough to come by. I wouldn't think there's many of those.
Wow.
And then here's another one. So the two hottest before
Oh, so hot.
2020 or even 2019, maybe the main comic you were looking for in this Marvel run was number 1 or the last issue, which was 107.
Okay.
Now those are not even close to 68 and 42. Any guesses on what this is?
That is, well, those are all bounty hunters on the front of it.
Yes, sir.
And we got an Empire Strikes Back logo down on the bottom.
Yep.
So is
it's
that like a search for Han
appearance.
Solo?
It's a first appearance of someone. No, that's
Is
number
it
1.
is it Bosk?
Boba Fett?
Boba Fett.
Really?
Yeah, and
I just went for the obvious one there, Lucas.
I know. Yeah, I went. I was like,
really
wait a
digging-
minute. I just saw the other one. Yeah.
so
Like,
42.
that Boba Fett.
That is all over the map. So I've seen him go for 100, 500 raw. So a 9.6 I know sold recently for $1,600.
Good grief.
And this comic 2 years ago, you could have got, I don't know, for 40, $50 probably. Easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, it
that
makes
is
sense
not the
with-
case today.
No.
Good grief. And these
It
are
makes
all
sense
for
that
sale
this-
at your store, right?
Yes. So some of these we are going to get graded. Like I had I'm not a fan of grading. I don't have many that are graded at all. I would rather, open it up, read it. Even if it's a $1,000 book, I want to be able to look at it and read it. If it's in a hard case, that prevents me from doing that.
Yeah.
But if we are going to resell it, a lot of collectors would prefer a graded copy because they're guaranteed that it's unrestored. They're guaranteed, CGC is kind of the Nike of the grading world. It's the standard, the most notable. And so they trust that the grade is what it is. If I tell them it's a 7.5, most people know that I grade fairly good and even lower, because I don't want to rip my customers off. But, CGC 7.5 makes them feel a lot better.
So do you recommend that people keep their collectibles or toys in the, don't open it, don't read the book, or would you recommend, hey, have fun and play with it?
We've got, like, so many people are so different walking through the door. One of my good friends and customers that comes in the store, he's a toy guy. He buys any Transformers, any G.I. Joe, any Marvel. He stays away from DC, but he has probably 3 rooms of his house just full of toys, and he buys new and old. And he will crack open a $500 toy.
Oh man!
And make it a $40 toy just like that. He doesn't care.
Oh,
because
wow.
He loves. He has to have it in his hand. He wants to. I don't think he sits there and plays with it, but he loves to display it. He wants to have it in his hand.
That makes sense.
So real quick, how would you my Don Draper pop it?
I'm not the biggest pop expert.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I know that pops, especially pops, if they're in their box,
Yeah, Lucas has a bunch.
They're way more valuable than outside the box. And it's because...
So how about now?
I don't think so, but it's just... I think because the size of the box and the toy are very similar, and that you can stack them. I just think it just lends itself to keeping in the package more. Action figures are the same way, but pops really, if people if we have a loose pop in the store, they don't want to buy it. It has to have a box.
That makes sense.
Well, hey, thanks for Yeah, thanks for showing us some cool stuff. I'm
Yeah,
definitely
do you,
always
do you have
interested in
do you have one more awesome thing to show
collectible
us?
comic books. And
Yeah, I have the last issue of Star Wars here. That used to be a really sought after. I mean, it still is. It's just not as cool as the other two I showed you.
Yeah, so
that's the end of that.
who is Chewbacca
Marvel
holding?
month.
Is that
that's Lando.
What's
It
that,
looks
Lando?
like.
Yeah, that's Lando. Yeah.
Okay, so what issue number is that?
But what a
107.
weird pose.
So that number
Both Chewbacca
42.
and Lando.
Yeah, that number 42 is also the first appearance of Yoda.
Yes.
You know what?
I
Lando
forgot to,
truly is
I forgot to mention
pansexual.
that. Yes. And just a couple things. I tried to bring some stuff on that I didn't know what you liked, but I knew what Lucas liked, and I know he's also a Thor fan.
Oh yeah.
So I did bring this guy. Do you know what this is?
That's
that's
Beta Ray Bill.
This
Beta Ray
is
Bill.
the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill.
Awesome. With
It's also one
Mjolnir.
of those white covers that has a lot of yellow, and it's really sharp.
That's so awesome.
I have that comic.
It's so. I think this.
Yeah. Yours is probably rated a 3.
Yeah, probably.
This book has gone up in value a lot recently, but I think it's going to go up even more. He's starting to pick up a lot of steam with the MCU people, and I think he's supposed to be in a movie or a TV show. You probably would know more than I do on that.
The Thor Love and whatever they're going to call it, the one that's coming out, that's slated to come out in November, is supposed to have the first MCU appearance of Beta Ray Bill in there. And there was his head was on the outside of the Grandmaster's Coliseum in Ragnarok.
Okay.
So
well, just a plug for comics. This also starts the epic, iconic run of Walt Simonson. And I forgot how long this run goes, but it's collected in two big volumes. It is one of the best runs of anyone that I've read. It's so good. And some of Thor is hard to read.
yeah.
There's a lot of thou's and shall, that kind of
Yeah,
terminology.
they wrote Thor in King James for some reason, while the rest of the world was trying to do regular stuff.
Yeah. So this is not hard to read. You cannot put this down, even for people that don't read Thor or not sure about comics in general. I think it's really good, and it's kind of strange because Beta Ray Bill. There's a lot of relationship stuff in it that even people that don't like action or those types of things would like. There's a lot of backstory to him and his world, his alien world, and where he came from, and how he's dealing, like his personality, how it's shaped from his upbringing. So it's a very deep comic, and it's on the list of rereading because I want to reread it again.
That's cool.
It's been a
Right
while.
on, man. Well,
Hey,
Neal, thanks so much for coming on. Danley, do you have a question?
Real quick. I have like 2 questions for you. These are just gonna be rapid fire questions.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Neal, run away.
Okay. Who is the worst Avenger in your opinion?
Oh, jeez. Of the MCU people, or just
all time.
Yeah, because you haven't seen any of those. So just from comics, you're like this person out. This person's dumb.
Oh, geez. I like all the major Avengers. I don't know.
Hawkeye.
We'll skip that one.
Hawkeye's the right answer.
If you wanted to remake and reboot Superman, what woman would you choose to reboot as the lead?
Oh man. again, you're asking the wrong person.
Okay,
for
okay,
anything
we'll skip
movie
that
and
one.
TV.
We'll skip that one. If you had any superpower, what would it be? What's your perfect superpower?
I got that easy. So it would either be flight or super speed because, Superman, Flash are both my favorite characters. And I go back and forth on that all the time. I'd probably say speed, but it's really close between those two.
Did you see that? What was that episode? It was the Superman animated series.
The
It was in
fastest
the
man alive.
yeah. That was like my favorite episode where they race and they have to get into a fight
Yeah,
with somebody.
They stole that from. There was 3 race issues of Flash and Superman back in the 70s, and they took parts of that and made that. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
well, that was a great episode. I think about that often too. I completely agree with you. Speed
Yes.
or flight.
I'm gonna go with the ability to wield Mirror, that you could just throw it and you could be able to speed or fly.
You just have to hold on to
Yeah.
Mjolnir.
And there's our Kat Denning shout out for the night. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the Reverend and Reprobate Spoils WandaVision. We will be back next Friday at 7 with another episode. Hopefully Neal will be joining us again with some more cool comics and cards for you guys to look at. We appreciate y'all very much. And you guys enjoy your week. And we'll see you same dat time, same dat Facebook Live.
And you